This week's episode of The Cinemile is sponsored by The Light Cinemas. The Light Cinemas is a gorgeous chain of cinemas that are up and down the UK, and they have just opened up a new one in Addlestone in Surrey. We've been twice already, and it's not just a cinema. They serve freshly made pizza, sharer plates, coffee, great wines, craft beers, and cocktails. Best of all, there's amazing reclining seats in every screen, which I thoroughly enjoyed in this week's episode. And it's a fantastic place to go, not just to see a movie, but for a night out.
Hello, it's Dave here, and I'm with my wife, Cathy.
Hello.
And you're listening to The Cinemile, where we walk to and from the movies.
Yes.
Today, we're going to go see Venom with Tom Hardy.
Which I have no interest in. Apparently it's 2 hours and 20 minutes long.
Is it?
Yes. So I'm
Why?
just going for two reasons. A, because I'm a nice wife and Dave wants to go, and B, because my sister is very kindly babysitting.
Okay, hang on. I don't want to go.
I feel like we should have used the babysitting time for something better than going to see Venom.
Yes, we're doing this because we're doing this really for you people out there, because I think this looks like it's going to be really bad.
Oh, but you're interested in the character in the movie, right?
I am, to be fair. I am interested. I'm kind of... All right, but if we weren't doing a podcast, I wouldn't go to the cinema to see this. Is the kind of thing I would catch if I was a little bit desperate and a little bit curious at like midnight on a Saturday night at home by myself 6 months from now. So I don't think this is like a cinematic experience. I think it's, from the trailers I've seen, it doesn't look very good.
Isn't it like a Marvel movie?
Yeah, but okay, all right, well, let's get into this whole thing.
Wait, is it Marvel movie like the way Spider-Man's Marvel movie, but it's not MC Universe?
It's not in the MC Universe.
Right,
it's
okay.
not made by Marvel Studios, who make the Avengers and all that stuff. This is made by Sony Pictures, because Sony Pictures own the film rights to Spider-Man and all associated Spider-Man characters. So they made the Sam Raimi trilogy with Tobey Maguire. Then they made the Andrew Garfield ones, which were very financially considered very unsuccessful. And so after those two, they renegotiated with Marvel Studios to allow them to bring Spider-Man to the cinematic
You know,
Marvel
you've explained
Cinematic
all
Universe.
that to me before, right?
I'm explaining it to people who might not know this
that
stuff.
this is the Sony version, which is why you're not interested, because you're obsessed with MC Universe.
I think it can be quite confusing to people, because this will have the Marvel logo on it. But it's not the same universe as Iron Man and all this. No,
I saw a teaser before that I thought looked alright.
Hang on, I'll be clear. I grew up on the Spider-Man animated series from the 90s, which I loved, and Venom was my favourite villain. I think he's great. It's an amazing concept. This alien evil symbiote that melds with you and sort of absorbed Spider-Man's powers. It's, like, there's some really interesting stuff in here.
I remember that actually from the cartoon.
Well, it was also in Spider-Man 3, played, and Topher Grace.
Oh God, right, I remember
Yeah.
that. I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm much more into Tom Hardy than I am into Topher Grace.
So the character is very interesting. This just looks like really bland
I only saw a teaser
origin.
like maybe last year, and the teaser looked really good, but I haven't seen a full trailer for it.
Okay, but look, I'm going to try and park my preconceptions at the door. That long-winded explanation was basically me correcting you for saying that I want to see this, or I'm excited to see this.
So what you're telling me is that I am wasting my Sunday morning
2 hours and 20
to
minutes
cinema with you, because I thought I was being nice. I'm going to see a new superhero movie with you.
Well, that's the other thing I had to correct, because if at the end of this you've had a horrible 2 hours and 20 minutes, I'm not shouldering the burden.
You don't have to shoulder it, because this new cinema we're going to, which is quite near our house, is so near our house that I could just walk home and get up and leave if I'm not enjoying the movie.
Are you going to leave? Are you priming yourself to leave?
I'm just saying, I've done it before and I'll do it again. I would never do it if we were like the other end of the city and we'd gotten a train or something. But when it's within walking distance and my sister's hanging out at home, faux show.
For the record, you haven't actually left a movie since Independence Day Resurgence. Is that correct?
I think so. I mean, that was really bad. And again, that was quite near our house, so hence me leaving. That was also the day of the Brexit vote, potentially, and I was like quite depressed. And I was like, I do not need to be in this movie. But today I'm in a good mood, so we'll see. Right.
All right, we're here now. We'll see you on the other side of Venom.
I'm Eddie Brock. I'm a reporter. I always seem to find myself questioning something the government may not be looking at. I found something really bad. And I have been... Eddie. Who said that? Taken.
look around at the world, what do you see? A planet on the brink of collapse. Human beings are disposable. But man and symbiote combined. This is a new race, a new species. A higher life form.
Okay, we've just seen Venom. Quick correction. It's not 2 hours and 20 minutes long. I don't know why.
Turns out Google can be wrong.
If you Google Venom running time, it says 2 hours and 20 minutes, but IMDb says it's 1 hour and 50 something.
And it's funny because I thought it was 2 hours and 20, and I was like, this movie really zips along. Like,
it's the fastest 2 hour 20.
Do you know what? They've done such a good job of, like, it dragged a little bit, and then, of course, no, it wasn't 2 hours and 20. But yeah, overall opinion, honestly, I enjoyed it much more than I thought I would. Now, I do always tend to enjoy the origin stories of superheroes than just established superheroes, picking up stories that I've forgotten about. And I don't know, it will be interesting to hear your thoughts on it, if it's true to the comics or the cartoons that you've seen, but I didn't know any of it, so I found it really enjoyable, mainly because of Tom Hardy's performance. He's so funny. I never knew he was that funny. Like, he's a brilliant comedic actor. He just like shines throughout the whole movie, and like he does a fantastic job. So I enjoyed the humour. I enjoyed the baddie of, is it Riz Ahmed? Yeah. I really enjoyed the setup of all the stuff with the lab and the space travel, and I enjoyed the setting of San Francisco. I was a bit dismayed by the love interest played by Michelle Williams. For anyone who's seen I Feel Pretty, where she does kind of a taking the piss performance of a kind of wispy voiced woman, she's doing that in this movie. But that's weird because that's not what she should be doing. She's playing like a lawyer, his girlfriend, and yeah,
who we never see do any law.
Yeah, I found her particularly strange, her performance, and I found her character, like the dialogue, a lot of the dialogue in the movie, Tom Hardy's dialogue too with Venom, I thought was really cheesy, and like Tom Hardy could pull it off. The back and forth between him and Venom worked because Tom Hardy's so good, but it was, I didn't think, very well written. But she wasn't able to pull off the bad lines she had. But yeah, overall, honestly, I enjoyed it because the cinema we were at, which is so nice, our new favourite cinema, Light Cinema, and they have the Light Cinema, and they have reclining seats. And at the start I thought, oh well, I don't care if this movie's bad because I'm really tired and I'll just have a nap and I'll like really enjoy lying on these seats. But in the end I didn't nap. So that's the best I have to say for the movie, really. I stayed awake for the whole thing, enjoyed it, and thought it was a zippy 2 hours and 20 minutes.
You don't see that on a poster. No. I stayed awake for the whole thing.
I mean, if you're in a reclining seat and you're tired because your baby's been keeping you up at night, like, I think fair play to me for staying awake.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it as well. It's fine. It's perfectly good. It's not great. It's I pretty much agree with everything you've said. Tom Hardy is great fun in this.
Funny, I never knew.
He just commits so much to this.
That's what I thought. He's giving this performance his all.
Yeah.
And that you cannot.
He's not
say
embarrassed
that.
to be there.
No, you cannot say that for a lot of superhero movies where you really feel like people are phoning in the performances or going way too hammy. Or he was just brilliant. Like, I thought he's so good.
Michelle Williams had nothing to work with. And she's an Oscar-winning actress, or she's an incredible actress.
Yeah, this is one of her first lines in the movie. You know what night it is tonight? Date night.
Don't forget to feed the cat, honey.
And the lines weren't her fault, but how she delivered them was her fault.
The lines weren't her fault, but her and Tom Hardy they struggled whenever they were on screen together. They're supposed to. I mean, they were written to have this sort of quirky, jokey banter sort of relationship, which doesn't at all work.
No.
It's the kind of thing that, okay, I guess tangentially thinking of Spider-Man, I think worked well with Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone.
But they were teenagers. It
yes.
works better with teenagers. Teenagers work really hard to be quippy and funny with each other, and like honestly, like I don't think that like an engaged couple. Like, I don't think all of their conversations would be like that.
Well, no, they were bantering about, like, date night and feeding the cat. And
it didn't really work for me. No. It works for me where, like, teenagers are pretentious and they try really hard.
So you can't buy into them as a couple, so the relationship doesn't work, so there's really no jeopardy. That's actually one of my biggest problems with this movie as a whole. There is no jeopardy. At no stage did I feel any sense of threat or danger for any character.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Really, there's no stakes. I think we'll talk in Spoiler Street about some last minute stakes that are introduced. So really, the only value in this movie is as a sort of body horror, I guess symbiosis, sort of all the stuff with the Eddie Brock becoming Venom and Tom Hardy having a sort of an ongoing back and forth dialogue with him. That stuff's all very entertaining. So yeah, it's the origin stuff, and that segment of the movie is very good. The third act is terrible.
Yeah, the third act lost me.
It's utterly pointless.
But I cared enough about Tom Hardy's character that I was following it, and I was really enjoying up until the third act all the special effects of like the ways Venom would go to protect himself. Like there's bullets shooting out a window, suddenly Venom's covered the whole window in like this black thing. Venom's arms are sticking out of nowhere to do things like to catch cars that are coming up from behind him. I really enjoyed all that stuff. But then the last act, when there was a lot of CGI fighting, I just completely tuned out. Yeah, and that's where if the movie had been longer, I definitely would have fallen asleep.
And it's not well executed. It's a complete blur. It's a mess. The action scenes aren't really well done here. There is a few moments of good invention, but the execution's very poor. So it doesn't work as an action movie. It doesn't work as a drama. The comedy kind of does work whenever it happens, but a lot of the comedy felt a little sort of old school. This feels like the sort of superhero origin movie we would have got when they started doing superhero movies properly in the early 2000s, don't you think? It even has its own song, which was commissioned for the movie by Eminem.
We think it was Eminem. We were listening at the end.
No, it was. I just googled it.
Did you? Yeah, it was Eminem rapping like, "Get out of me, you're symbiotic." Literally like, what? Is this Wiki Wiki Wild Wild West? Like, it was really bad.
My name is Venom and I am also Brock. It's awful. It was like, when was the last time a movie had a song to go with it?
But again, I enjoyed the humour of it. These are the elements of superhero movies that appeal to me. Like, it was a cool superpower that he got, like genuinely cool. He was genuinely physically and emotionally battling with it. They executed the whole thing with a bit of fun, basically, and the stakes kind of went from 0 to 1 million instantly.
It is fun.
But, there were stakes involved in terms of his personal relationship and stuff. And we do have to say that, like, Riz Ahmed's really good. I really enjoyed him in the role. But I don't know if he was... Maybe I'm just getting older, but I felt like they were all very young. Like, I kind of enjoy when a villain or the protagonist or somebody adds a bit of weight to the proceedings with their age. And I felt like watching Riz Ahmed and Tom Hardy that I didn't quite buy.
Tom Hardy's not young.
No, not young, but I just didn't quite buy Riz Ahmed in his role. It's probably the first time I've ever watched him in something where I've not 100% bought into him. And again, I just don't think the role was very well written. I don't think it's any reflection on him as an actor. It was just kind of like, yeah, I'm a scientist, I want to go to space.
He's not sinister enough.
No, he wasn't scary, and it was...
Finding high-quality mental health care can be daunting and exhausting. That's why Cerebral offers convenient access to online mental health services, including therapy and medication management. Cerebral's diverse clinician team can help with anxiety, depression, insomnia, stress, grief, big life changes, and more. You can schedule and communicate with your care team through Cerebral's mobile app and attend your sessions from the comfort of your own home. Get started with or without insurance. Plus, you can now use FSA or HSA. Start your first month for 50% off at Cerebral.com/ACAST.
Like, I'm kind of sick of global warming being used as like the standard tool now for any of these movies, for anyone to justify their means. It's just like, oh yeah, in one generation everyone's going to die, and next. It's like, okay, so you're not going to explore that any further then. You're just going to say, off the cuff in a movie, that in one generation this planet's completely fucked, and next now I'm moving on to the plot, which I find a bit weird. So I didn't quite buy him as the baddie, and I didn't quite buy their antagonistic relationship.
That's the problem with this movie and the screenplay. There's no thought was applied to anything. It doesn't have anything to say. It doesn't really do anything particularly interesting with the Venom stuff. It's all very
like the cartoon?
as you would expect. Yeah, I mean, his power set is very much the same. The sound. Anyway, we'll talk about it in spoilers.
Yeah, let's get to spoiler street.
Let's turn on to spoiler street.
Definitely an enjoyable Sunday morning viewing.
Oh, it's fine,
Yeah.
and it's actually like it's. Again, I don't know if I'd recommend like paying to go see this. I think this is the kind of thing you'd check out on at home a few months from now. It absolutely is. There's a good enjoyable section in the middle of this.
Compare this to Ant-Man, which we saw like a month or two ago. This is way better than Ant-Man 2. I would say hands down better.
I mean, it's kind of hard to.
Because Ant-Man, the first Ant-Man, I know lots of people didn't like, but I did like. Because again, it was fun and it was an origin story. And then Ant-Man 2 was just boring. And I would say similarly, if somebody brought out a Venom 2, I certainly wouldn't go and watch it. Albeit I'll enjoy him showing up. Presuming he's going to show up in a Spider-Man movie or something, I'll definitely enjoy seeing him again. And I'll be like really glad to see him.
I don't know if he can, because Spider-Man is now in the Avengers universe.
But
I don't
they must
even
be
know how
planning
that
on
works.
doing something with him, right? Or they wouldn't make this movie. Like they wouldn't just make this as a
They are
one-off.
clearly planning sequels.
Yeah.
Let's turn. We're turning on to spoiler street. So spoilers for Venom now.
There's not much to spoil, really. One thing that I thought was like you said in terms of jeopardy. There's literally no jeopardy, except his personal jeopardy with Venom. And then suddenly it's like, oh, the whole world's about to be destroyed if this rocket launches in 5 minutes.
But what personal jeopardy with Venom?
Just like the fact that he was taken over and like his liver was failing, and there was a little bit of his own.
But you never felt like I never felt like he was going to die or that he was ever under threat. So that doesn't work as jeopardy.
I'm just saying it literally went from that to the whole world's going to die if this rocket takes off in 5 minutes.
But okay, the third act sort of shift for Venom's motivations wasn't earned either.
I went to the bathroom and I came back and Venom was a goodie.
Yeah, so it's
like wait, what happened?
A minute,
to Venom?
like literally 5 minutes earlier, Venom had been like, right, Eddie. The plan is we're going to get to the rocket so we can bring all my millions of people back, which is what the other guy's plan is, Riot or whatever he was called. And then it's just suddenly he's like, no, I've decided we're going to stop Riot because I like this planet.
I think it's because he fancied Michelle Williams.
No, but it didn't really make any sense. And he got a throwaway line like, oh, on my planet, I'm also a bit of a loser, so I'm going to stay here.
That did make me laugh, though. Who voiced Venom? I thought the voice was funny.
I mean, there was quite a fun little line, but you can't base a complete 180 degree turn in motivations for the primary character based on a throwaway line. And I think a lot of the problem with Venom himself as a character, not Eddie Brock, is that he was a little too jokey. He's supposed to be like he never felt scary or threatening, which he kind of should be, considering he's this big horrible monster.
I think he was a little bit scary until we actually met him. So at the start, when Eddie is first taken over by him, and he's like, "Eat!" and he's like screaming and that was a little bit scary, but then as soon as we met him, he's just a comic character.
Well,
and I did enjoy him.
The problem when he's
really
actually
funny
calling
scene.
him a pussy and things like that.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're playing this for laughs now. So suddenly, I don't feel like there's any, there's no tension to their relationship.
No,
they were like
friends.
a buddy cop.
And then at the end, now we're on spoiler street. So at the very end, we think Venom's died, and then it's like, oh no, Venom's alive.
But of course Venom had died. It was just like,
but I know, but I thought they'd at least show us the fact that Venom didn't die. And that we learn repeatedly throughout this movie, right, that Venom and his species can't handle high frequencies. It's really spelled out for us. And then kind of 2 minutes to go before the rocket launch that's going to end the world, we see Michelle Williams. I can play dirty too. And she somehow finds this high frequency she can turn on. So the two monsters leave Riz Ahmed and Tom Hardy, and suddenly it's just the two men fighting, which I enjoyed. That ends very quickly because then Michelle Williams just stops playing the noise.
Yeah.
So the monsters come back again, and the bad monster has time to get on this rocket launcher and like get up to the sky, and only for Tom Hardy would have succeeded. So it's like Michelle Williams is like, I can play dirty too, and then she just turns off the sound and is like, bye.
This is one of those screenplays where they never interrogated anything in it. It never got to the second or third draft stage where you have to be
Dave,
like,
I'm sure it got past the first draft stage.
Well, no, but it's missing that. It's missing the thing. Like, hang on, does this make sense? Wouldn't this happen?
Wouldn't you have done this in the last minute then, not the second last minute, and then just stop doing it?
All the questions that we're asking, nobody sat with the screenwriters and were like,
I'm sure they did.
No, but the problem is all these questions. For instance, Jenny Slate, the scientist character who brings Eddie Brock in, they're looking for who is it? Who broke into the lab? Nobody looks at security footage. Nobody noticed that the security guard spoke to her. She was the only person there.
Or that her badge swiped in.
Like, all of these things don't make sense, and they can easily be, like, just tweaked.
Say, there's no camera in that corner of the lab. That's it. Oh, grand, now we don't know who it is.
I mean, if you spend half an hour or an hour at these things, you spend a day, get somebody to come in, an expert, to punch up this script. It really did feel like a first draft, as did all the dialogue. There was a recurring dialogue of people like saying to Eddie Brock, "Enjoy the rest of your life, Eddie," and it happened.
It happened twice.
2 scenes in a row.
Twice.
I
thought that was deliberate though, because I thought his boss was echoing the sentiment of the baddie who'd gotten him sacked in the first place. So I actually thought that was like a deliberate script device.
But if you just fired somebody, you wouldn't say to them, "Enjoy the rest of your life," when you have a very healthy working relationship with them, except for this one incident.
There was an interesting thing actually that I thought. So Tom, what's his name again?
Hardy.
Tom Hardy. No, what's his character's name?
Eddie Brock.
Eddie Brock is like an investigative reporter, right? And then it kind of gets hinted at, one throwaway line, in that the network owns his name as a brand. So when he gets the sack, he can't get another job because he can't use his own name. I thought that was really interesting, in like how a corporation can completely fuck you, basically. Now, what didn't make sense then is he can't get a job, right? He's no money, and yet he manages to have an apartment that he lives in, and he gives $20 to a homeless person. So I'm like, wait, I thought you were on the bread line.
Because he's a good guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like classic sort of, again, just lazy, like, set up. You can see them setting up the things that he's going to experience later as Venom. You know, he walks into the corner shop and she gets basically asked for protection money from a local.
I didn't see that coming. I was so happy
How
at the end.
did you not see that coming? It had no resolution, and he's going to become Venom later. What did you think was going to happen?
So then at the end, when it happened again, I went, "Ooh, he's going to stop the baddie."
Oh, come on, Cathy! And it was they lined up all those dominoes. There's a whole section when we get the montage of Tom Hardy's miserable life. When he goes to the corner shop, he meets the homeless person, then he goes upstairs. God, I hate my neighbour.
Oh, I really enjoyed the neighbour scenes, both of them.
But come
on, they were
so
fun. The neighbour scenes were fun. Don't be such a begrudger. They were really fun. So he's got this neighbour listens to really loud music, and it's hard to explain, but when he becomes Venom and he goes into the neighbour, it's like quite a funny scene. Like, I laughed loads in this movie.
My point is, these are all beats we've seen a million times before.
I'm
not saying they're not enjoyable, because they're fine.
The
and
movie
it's like
rests on the shoulders of Tom Hardy. If Tom Hardy wasn't in it, I would not be probably praising it at all.
No, he elevates it.
Yeah.
But my point is, these are jokes. They're knock jokes. They're punchlines that we've heard a million times before.
On the neighbour's door.
So this whole film just feels familiar. There's nothing. They didn't reinvent the wheel. They just rolled out the wheel, and
okay,
it's just
for
like
that lovely wheel analogy. Jeez, you've been waiting to make that one.
I'm really struggling here.
Come here. I just wish it had been 30 minutes longer, so I could have had my nap.
Anyway, I don't know what else to say.
There's nothing else to say. Honestly, if you like Tom Hardy, I would say go and see it for him. Otherwise,
there's a post-credit scene where they
reveal. I enjoyed the post-credit scene, right? Okay, no spoilers for Ant-Man. But there's a second post-credit scene at the end of Ant-Man. Is that the worst post-credit scene I've ever watched, right? This was a genuinely good post-credit scene.
No, it wasn't.
It finished up on the article, because I'd been dying to know he was going to interview. And then we get there, and it's Woody Harrelson. And he looks like... this is my second time referencing Ronald McDonald in a row, but he looks like Ronald McDonald. Who's he playing?
So he's a character called Carnage. So there's another symbiote who melds with a serial killer.
Right.
And he's kind of a red version of Venom, and he's called Carnage.
I enjoyed that. I genuinely was like, I want to see what happens next with that story, which never happens to me with end credit scenes, because it was like a new thing. It wasn't just an in-joke that I don't care about.
But if you've got but that is an in-joke. What else?
No, it was setting up a further plot. He said, "When I get out of here," and I was like, "Ooh, what's he going to do?"
When I get out of here, ... there's going to be Carnage.
Yeah, but I didn't know his name was Carnage.
I just feel like if you had to tease that there's going to be a character called Carnage, would you do it in that way?
Yes, if I was writing this movie.
And also, it's like, I don't know, it didn't make me excited. I don't want to watch that movie.
Oh God, I don't care about it, but I thought, it's actually interesting. It's not just like a crappy homage to like some stupid ant playing the drums. But anyway, we better go. I think we've said all we have to say about Venom.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I can't think of anything else.
But yeah, no, it's funny. It's turned into one of these movies that we probably liked equally, but I'm like surprised I liked it more, and you're like probably a little bit disappointed. So we've ended up somewhere in the middle.
No, I thought it was better than I was expecting. It's certainly worth having a look at it for Tom Hardy. He
he's
shines
such a
in
standout.
it, and he's so sweaty.
He should just move into full comedy. Honestly, he should. But yeah, so thank you for listening. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to us on anywhere you listen to podcasts, particularly Apple Podcasts is a very good place to do that for us. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. And thanks for listening.
At
Bye.
the Cinemile.
At the Cinemile, sorry, yeah. Always at the Cinemile. Oh, and we're at the Cinemile. We're cinemile@gmail.com if you want to drop us an email. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Listen up, we got a tale that you won't believe about an 8-foot creature with monstrous teeth. Got big white eyes, you never forget them. If you met him, check it out. We about to spit about Venom. Damn, that thing's got a real spooky tongue. Word up. Journalist Eddie Brooks is chilling in the city of San Fran. He stumbled on a story and it made him say, damn, man, I think this corporation is evil. I gotta show people that the stuff they do is super illegal. He weaseled inside, put his pen to the page when he came across a lady being kept in a cage. She's like, yo, this is totally whack, man. But then he got closer and the lady attacked him. The next day, Eddie was feeling real freaky. Had a voice in his head talking deep and creepy. It was like, you and me, we go together. And he started sweating, he was feeling the pressure. Then something wrapped around him like a big black coat. Oh damn, he's been possessed by a symbiote. And he wore it like Venom, don't you dare upset him. He said he brought this no more, you can call the man Venom. Venom. Spit Venom, spit, spit, Venom, Venom, spit Venom, spit, spit, Venom, spit Venom, spit Venom, spit, spit, Venom, Venom.